何？
本人の意思に関係なく触れたものに激痛を与えるか。
あんたのことが何一つ分かってないわけじゃないんだぜ。シオン、アイメリス。
シオンはどうしたい？
全てのスルドを倒すこと。
一人で行くつもりなのか？
私には関係ないわ。
いきなり一人で攻撃するなんてどうかしてる。
何を怒ってるの？私たちの目的はスルドを倒すことよ。忘れたの？
それで怪我するところだったじゃないか。
余計な気遣いは迷惑よ。
なぜ戦う？お前は誰なんだ？
インテリーカムよ、炎よ。巻き込め。血だらけね。弱点を狙いましょう。
裏切り者は！
どうやらおとなしくさせる必要があるよね。エアトルネード。無駄よ。血だらけね。
この問題は鋭ぶりかに勝る、故に滅ぼす。
私に触れることもできないくせに。甘いわね。ドレスベント。黙って。どうも。無駄よ。
その男の屍の前に今一度我が物となりに来たのか。
まだそんなこと言ってるのね。少しは学びなさい。アクアライナー。フリーズラウター。無駄よ。血だらけね。防げるとでも。血だらけ。ドレスベント畳みかけるわよ。緑のシャツだ。水の力で一気に終わらせるわ。行きなさい。アドレビートオムニア。みんなにもらうわ。意地を張った挙句心配かけてばかり。必死に戦って勝ち取る自分の未来を。
本当に誰もが安心して暮らせるようになるまで。だが最後まで俺はシオンのそばにいる。
ありがとう。
Hello everyone, I wish you a happy new year. I hope you all had great Christmas holidays. We're at the beginning of 2022 and I hope that this year will actually bring you a lot of great stuff, that you will be able to achieve all your projects, all your goals. Before anyone asks, yes, this run was indeed since March 2021. Before Arise was even released. And the truth is, the run that was hinted back then is actually another one that I had to cancel because I lost the motivation back then. And I actually don't have any desire to return to it. So the Arise run is actually a replacement. And I must admit that I wasn't expecting to run the game that early, but things happened. In the end, I ended up making this run. I think one of the reasons is that the preparation for this game is actually pretty fast, and I also quite enjoyed it. So yeah, this marks something quite important for me and my channel because this is the first time I officially run a modern Tales game. Like, the most recent one I had on my channel is Graces, and I had absolutely nothing after the dissolution of Tales Studio. So yeah, that's quite a big deal and I hope you will all enjoy it. As usual, before I go more into details on the run, let me introduce the different restrictions. So this is a Shion solo. I'm obviously not using any item, and this is a no damage run. Let me put a disclaimer here. There is actually one single hit that I will be taking during this run, and this is one hit that you can't dodge. To be more precise, it's against Ifrit Malas, and the reason is it's a cinematic attack, and you are basically forced to take the damage. The game literally removes all your possible options to dodge that attack. So aside from this one, this is a real no damage run. Another restriction is no menu. One of the reasons is that with the weapons and the accessories you can create really stupid strats and do really crazy elemental damage that you could switch on the go, so I decided to go against it. Then we have the no curse ailment. I think anyone who's played Arise know how OP this ailment is. You do so much damage, and it's actually so easy to trigger in this game, especially on early bosses, because they are not immune or even resistant to it. So you will deal way too much damage if you actually trigger that ailment. So I decided to remove it. And the last restriction will be that I have limited bomb ammunition. The reason behind this is that I wanted to have another resource to manage, but those bombs also trigger ailments very quickly, so I wanted to prevent that as well. So what I will do is that I will basically have 4 bombs at max for every fight, and even if I recharge, I won't be able to use any more of them. So on my general thoughts about this run, I would say it's a breath of fresh air. It's very easy compared to my previous runs, so I think just the fact that I didn't have to break my head trying to find solutions to everything that was thrown at me was something that I really enjoyed. The lack of combo against bosses is still an issue for me, because it doesn't allow much creativity, like at all, but it was still interesting to learn the bosses' patterns, and I was kinda glad to be back to a pace that isn't entirely combo-centered. In a way, this run reminds me of the Sharia solo, minus all the bullshit. Like, the hitboxes in Arise makes much more sense, the patterns too, and I was never thinking like the game was cheating all the time, so I was very thankful for this. I think the only thing that really annoyed me is that there is a glitch that I still can't explain how it's triggered. For it's consistent, but basically you lose your ability to dodge in the air after chaining some attacks, and you have to land again to be able to get your dodge ability back. And this actually really annoyed me, and I lost a lot of takes because of this. And I would say the last reason I actually enjoyed this run is that I discovered new advanced techniques such as over limit cancel. So I think I was able to provide new things to the table, and I hope you will be able to enjoy it as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would like to add a mention to the use of boost strikes in battle. As you know, when a boss reaches the 50% HP threshold, you are asked to trigger a boost strike. And when you do that, this forces the boss to actually have a new pattern. But when you are in a true solo setting, you won't have this trigger. So I was basically stuck between a dilemma, like having a true solo or adding my party members just for the sake of triggering those boost strikes. And I actually decided to go against it, and there are multiple reasons for that. One of those is that there are actually very few bosses that have those additional attacks, those additional patterns. And even in a normal setting with a party, it's actually quite possible to cancel and prevent those patterns from happening, whether it's by not triggering the boost strike or with another limit cancel. And the last reason is that it kinda breaks the flow of the fight. so I just decided to go completely against it. The only exception will be for the final boss, because the different phases are very much different, so for this one I will have a party. Now for something that I didn't do for my previous runs, I will give you my thoughts on Shion herself, and the character I'm using. Originally, I wanted to do a Rainwell run, but she lacks healing spells, and that's kinda mandatory for my no damage run. And she's also too OP, I would say, so I decided to actually go for Shion, and I really like that character overall. She's extremely fun, she has very safe options, very good spells, her range is amazing, she has good area of effects attacks. I would say the biggest issue is that she lacks variety. I kinda wish she had more spells, really, because I feel like it may become a bit repetitive after some time. But aside from that, she's very fun. She is also extremely good at triggering ailments, and they make quite a nice difference in battles, so that's another thing. I would say, however, that she has probably the second worst counter on the game. Like, it's a projectile, it misses a lot, small and fast targets, and since it's a projectile, it gets erased extremely easily. So you don't really want to have any setting where you will increase your damage from those counters. However, this counter actually also helps a lot for positioning and use your bombs, so there's always that. One last thing that I would like to mention is that for this run my stats are pretty low, like sometimes extremely low, and I pretty much have to use spells to do decent damage since they are much more powerful than the physical attacks. And this may actually please some people. I remember a few months ago I asked on the server what was everyone's favorite spell, and if I remember correctly, both Megasonic ZX and ZK said it was Explosion. You're going to see that one a lot, so I really hope you're going to enjoy it. This time I won't provide a diagram for how hard each boss is, mostly because I have no idea how I would rank them. So what I may do in the future is a diagram where I show how much fun I had for each fight, and I will actually put that on the server. Now that we're done with the run description, let's go with the channel news, what you can expect for 2022. I would like to first quote something from last year when I said basically that there was no plan. It made me realize that for YouTube and this channel, there will never be any plan anymore. What I mean is, if things happen, they happen because I feel like it. Guys, I think this went overboard. I must admit, I'm super impressed and proud of myself for the amount of stuff I did last year. And it was actually a very busy year because I had a lot of personal changes in my life. So to see all of those contents, that's amazing. I don't think I've created that much content since like 2016. That's a huge deal for me. I'm very happy I was able to manage that. And I also have a feeling that life is taunting me about this, because it's only when I have no plan that I actually create stuff. So this year, just to be sure that there will be stuff out, I want to say that I will do even less than no plan. Joke aside, what you can truly expect. First, don't expect any new run. There's already 4 ongoing, and I still need to complete the tier 1 and the Shion one. The tier 1 it's only the optional stuff, but that still takes a lot of time. I also want to remix my old runs. I made a list that is available in the community tab of how many videos I need to record, and I will update that a bit later. I also want to record more solo compilations. I'm a bit sad because last year I was able only to do one of them. I'm very proud of that one, but I still want to create more of those. Another thing that I may actually do is more tutorials. You guys overwhelmed me with your positive comments and reviews on the Eternia one, and despite the very low view count for how much time it took, you guys welcomed that video so well that I'm actually willing to put more effort on that kind of content. There's one I did for Vesperia back then on the server, and I may actually complete it and create new ones. I don't have any plan yet, but that's something that still can happen. And finally, I will do also more chance streams. That's what I did last year. I did a lot of them, and it was super fun because I could actually interact with you guys. You could see my frustration and also my achievements directly, and yeah, that was great. So you can expect another announcement for those later on. The last topic I would like to mention is that I want to hold another Q&A. I know I held one last year on the server, but I can't actually recall the last time I did one on this channel. So I think that's also the occasion to do it. You can ask me any question, whether it's YouTube, challenge runs related, Tales related, video games related, or even personal stuff. I don't mind. You can ask me anything you want to know. And you can post your questions in the comments of this video, or you could also contact me directly on Twitter and Discord. I will post the answers to those questions in the next update video, which will simply be the announcement of the last run I have. I think I'm done sharing what I had in mind, so yes, until the next update video, thank you again for your support. I hope I can still be part of your Tales experience on YouTube, and until then, take care.